Welcome to Pulse episode 81. Time for a bit of Diablo news. In this week's episode, we take a look at the recent appearance of Diablo 3 in the New York Times, a new Jay Wilson interview, some more info on Mercenaries or followers, art and YouTube updates, and much more. Let's get started. Let's start today's Diablo news with the biggest piece. A new preview of sorts of our beloved game has popped up recently in the New York Times. Apparently the author of the piece had the honor of stopping by Blizzard headquarters in Irvine and actually sitting down for an hour of Diablo 3 gameplay. Overall, the preview is a great read, and what many sites are saying is probably the best part is that the author seems to be a genuine fan of the Diablo series, and a pretty knowledgeable one at that. Great for us, and even better for all the mainstream readers out there hearing about Diablo for the first time. At least they're hearing it right. What's new in this post? Well, aside from a few great quotes from Jay Wilson himself, there was quite a bit of talk about loot and trading. A topic I, for one, didn't really expect to be as heavily featured as it was, I guess. They talk a lot about the game's totally randomized loot system and how it makes the economy and trading that much more interesting than a game like, say, World of Warcraft, that has static loot tables for mobs and or bosses. Let's have a look at an interesting quote about that. In Diablo 2, released in 2000, you had to sit in any of hundreds of chat channels for hours, advertising the deal you sought. If your prospective partner was in another channel, you might never find him, or, far less likely, her. Blizzard knows that just won't cut it anymore. Today's players will demand simple yet powerful tools to create their own bustling virtual economy without the tedium. Call it an advanced sort of auction house. Once Diablo 3 arrives, millions of players will generate items of randomized treasure every day. That can make eBay look like a flea market. Keeping track of it all online and designing trading tools that can handle that kind of volume is a gargantuan programming and design challenge. It's one big reason Blizzard has been working on the game for so long. And it may also be why the company hasn't detailed or demonstrated Diablo 3's trading system just yet. To my admittedly biased and eager ears, that sounds a bit as if the Blizzard folks wanted to get the game out in 2011. What they've shown so far looks good, but I and millions of others can hardly wait to see the full package of what they come up with. So that's a pretty interesting set of quotes. An auction house, or at least trading tools in Diablo 3? Well, I guess some people were expecting something like that, because we can't well use chat channels or forums forever. But still, don't get too excited, because as you know, nothing has been announced yet. Although it might well be soon, who knows. It will be interesting to see how Blizzard plan on pulling something like this off, though. They'd have to modify something like the World of Warcraft auction house quite a lot to make it work on an action RPG such as Diablo. But hey, if there's anyone out there that has a chance, it's Blizzard. In the rest of the article, the author has a little talk about the history of Diablo and the previous games, the first few levels he was able to joyously speed through, things like the chances of seeing Diablo 3 on consoles, and much more. I have to say, as I pretty much always do, well worth a read. The end of the article is probably the part that will resonate the most with all you hardcore Diablo fans out there. The following Jay Wilson quote got me excited. "We're definitely in the home stretch. We're crunching. This is when the magic happens." Yes, it's not a release date for the game or the beta, but still, home stretch does sound good indeed, and I would most surely like to be exposed to this magic they speak of. It's only a couple of days till the Activision Blizzard conference call, so let's have hope. If you want to read the full article, you know exactly where to find it. Also, keep checking back here for more. The guys over at the Chinese Diablo fan site, Diablo3.cc, put up a post covering their recent exclusive interview with Jay Wilson. The webmaster, Bloodface, found himself at the Blizzard Entertainment headquarters this past week. Yes, everyone seems to be showing up there this week. And he was apparently bearing gifts for Jay Wilson. Along with the interview, you can also check a couple of really cool photos out of his visit to that most amazing of places and the aforementioned gifts. Just a quick mention, the guys and girls over at Diablo Inc. Gamers did do a great job at transcribing the whole thing. Big thanks to them. Because yes, it was in fact in Chinese on the Chinese website. Go figure. The full thing is worth a read, that goes without saying, but I'll just cover a few of the hot topics from it. So here we go. What most see as the biggest news in this interview would probably be that there will be no item binding of any kind in Diablo 3. Yes, that's pretty huge. After all the debating, arguments and speculation, we finally know what's what. A lot of people actually expected items maybe only the rare ones, to at least be bind on equip. Alas, that is not the case. All the items, good or bad, looted or crafted, will be available for trade or twinkage, just as they were in Diablo 2. You can also read a post-interview explanation from Blizzard about the whole no item binding thing, wherein they just explained their reasons for using the system and how they are quite sure it won't cause the game to be flooded with way too many items, as salvaging should remove a great deal of them from the equation. Yes, salvaging will actually be worth it, and that tempting. Included in this explanation, Bashiok just covers set items and how they are set to work. He had the following to say. Set items are now legendaries defined by a set bonus. They're crafted items while leveling. Recipes can be found that grant the ability to craft all items in a set, which allows someone to really invest in filling out a set before they outlevel it. Then at max level we'll drop set pieces normally. Pretty interesting, and it's great to see that crafting will actually have a use, even from that early in the game. Anyway, you can see the full interactions that led to that quote below. It'll make a lot more sense if you do check those out, and read a lot more about set items and the whole no item binding thing too. Other than all of that, Jay Wilson also confirmed that the Necromancer will in fact be appearing in Diablo 3 as an NPC. No word on whether we'll see this class as playable in an expansion, but hey, at least it's there. He confirmed that Diablo will indeed be in the game, and that is in fact him on the banner of the BlizzCon site. But that's about all he had to say about that. Bloodface also had a question about what we have to look forward to on level 60, other than the good old daily magic find runs. Jay said, quite teasingly, that they do have plans for endgame, most of which have not yet been announced. Pretty much all of which have not yet been announced. That's great and sad at the same time. Jay also just let us know that they haven't made the call on requirements for Arena yet, although he does say it is very likely that there will be restrictions in place for the official Arena games. You should still be able to play custom games for fun on just about any level. There was a definite lack of information about Mercenaries in this interview, although I will touch on that right after this. There was a bit of talk about Diablo 3 achievements, how Diablo 3 will perform on Battle.net 2.0, and their big plans to make it as user-friendly as possible. All that and much more. Yes, quite a juicy read and, dare I say it, well worth having a look at. You can find the full thing in English below, courtesy of Diablo Inc. Gamers. In somewhat related news, we got a tiny snippet of a mention from Bashiok recently about mercenaries or followers, wherein he said the following. We're not quite ready to talk about our approach, but I will say that it is something that's been part of the game since before announcement. We have a very solid direction for them. Now that does sound good, but still pretty cryptic. They did mention that they would be announcing all the game systems soon. This is in fact one of them. What changes or improvements would you like to see to your followers in Diablo 3? Did you bother to use them in Diablo 2 at all? Will they have customizable skill trees? How much item customization will there be? How many different types are there? Many questions to be asked here. Let me know what you think below. In our weekly Diablo video and or podcast news, we have quite a bit of interesting stuff too. First up, you can check out the Diablo podcast episode 5, wherein Flux and his merry band of men talk about the whole no item binding in Diablo 3 thing, and some other new, somewhat confusing info from Bashiok about how item sets will scale up and be craftable to make them more usable throughout the life of your character. Some really interesting topics that they covered this week and well worth a listen. Not to be left out or forgotten, nope, not for a second, Force is back with his and Diablo fans' Diablocast episode 7. In this week's episode, they have a pretty extensive talk about the encounter system in Diablo 3 and also briefly touch on the whole mercenaries and followers thing. Well worth checking out too, also right here on YouTube. As an extra, Force has announced that he will be canning the idea of Force D3 strategy and keeping all his content on his main channel. I think that'll probably work out for the better in the long run though, so all you Diablo fans out there can head on over to his main YouTube channel right now for a few re-uploads of all the Diablo 3 gameplay footage we've seen over the years. Quite nice if you want a bit of a recap before the supposed beta announcement that's coming soon. In our weekly art updates, we're going to start off by having a look at what's no doubt the biggest news, the latest batch of Facebook like updates. A new concept image and a new screenshot. The concept image is of a thing, and it came with the following description. While this thing resembles the Karza, its form twisted and distorted, It would only be one of many instances where the denizens of Sanctuary have risen or reformed for demonic purposes. Quite scary looking if you ask me. The screenshot is another new one from the fiery torture dungeon we've been seeing so much of since BlizzCon 2010. In this shot you can see a witch doctor using her Firebat's ability. Very hot indeed. If you have yet to give the Diablo Facebook page a like, get on over there and do it right now. We are nearing that big 1 million. Next up in the art updates, we have the latest weekly wallpaper post from the guys over at Diablo Inc. Gamers. In this week's post, we're given quite a few remakes into wallpapers of older artworks. I have to say that some of the community members, such as Holy Knight 3000, do put out a lot of great stuff quite consistently, although he was joined this week in wallpaper creation by Caniroth. Great work and some great wallpapers. You can check them all out in full size below. Then we have fan art watch number 90, wizards, serpents and a bigger crypt. This post features everything from a wizard pencil sketch and 3D render to a couple of serpents and even another 3D Diablo themed crypt. Quite a bunch of cool stuff, and you can check that out below courtesy of Diablo Inc. Gamers. In the last of the art updates we have quite an interesting piece to look at. This is a sketch of Mad King Leoric's wife from Diablo 3. The artist, a Blizzard employee, says it is unofficial and just fan art, but he wanted to make her rad and scary. He says that he is hoping to get around to painting it soon, but he's kind of busy working on the game. Yes, what a tease, but still a great piece, and if you like what you see, you can head on over to his blog to check out the rest of his work too, or just get this one in full size. So with that done, let's head on over to the Diablo 3 Smalls. In the Smalls this week, over at Diablo Fans, you can check out this week's poll, Followers, and you can check out a poll on Diablo Inc. Gamers about Mercenaries in Diablo 3. Yes, pretty much the same thing. Then you can read about BlizzCast episode 16, apparently revealing a bit of new Diablo artwork. BlizzCon 2011 Diablo is socketed, Forum Watch number 68, Monk Design, Stick Shaking, and Cartoons. Then the official bestiary pages have been updated with animations over at the Diablo Wiki. And lastly in the Smalls, a blue poster offers some Diablo 3 interface explanations. Once again courtesy of Diablo Inc. Gamers. Let's have a look at the Diablo 3 questions and answers. There aren't that many to look at this week, but still, they're always quite interesting. I just read in an interview that the ability to tab between two skills on the right mouse button has been removed. Can you confirm? No. An alternate second mouse button ability is a bindable option. It's just not shown in the default UI for the hardcore. You can actually read about this in the interface post I mentioned just a minute ago in the Smalls. Will crafted items have the creator's name attached to it? I want everyone to have Grug brand maces. We don't want to curse people with having items worth less than market value because your name is on them, Grug. Will terrain change in the outdoors? I.e., will a random place potentially involve a forested area instead of a broken down caravan? Yes, absolutely. Sadly, that's all I have for you in the questions and answers, and the end of Pulse episode 81. Keep checking back here soon for more Blizzard entertainment goodness, and hey, most importantly, happy Activision Blizzard conference call.